Elkmont settlers date back almost as far as the nation does. By Jack Walden. Elkmont. Some 30 years after the 13 colonies declared themselves free and independent of Great Britain, there grew up along Elk River, in what is today North Limestone County, a scattered settlement of pioneer families. It was known as Simms Settlement, and most of the people in it were refugees from the intense land and border disputes of the times. These refugees were known as squatters, and they had blown hither and yon by the changing whims and fortunes of big land companies, several nations, and various colonies, all struggling for land. Early settlers. In 1808, John and Mary Maples ventured east from Elk River about 4 miles and established a home along the St. Verdant ridges of this area. As far as anybody can determine, they were one of the first families to settle near what is today the town of Elkmont. Mac Maples, a descendant of that early John Maples, still lives on the land his ancestor pioneered. One after another, sturdy folks, looking for a place to clear land, plant their meager crops, and live in peace, followed the Maples. Nobody has determined just when the town became an established settlement, but it is certainly one of the oldest surviving settlements in modern Limestone County. The consensus is that only Morrisville and nearby Pettisville predate Elkmont. And for the name, again, nobody knows. An explanation may be that people came there, were familiar with Elk River, and that the town is on one of the highest points for many miles in any direction. At any rate, as the settlement was expanded, a church was established. It was known as New Garden Church, and the old cemetery still may be seen just southeast of present-day Elkmont. Ancient tombstones in this almost forgotten cemetery tell much about the early families of the area. Tombstones here bear the names of Andrew and Elizabeth McWilliams, who died in 1871 and 1875 respectively. William Penn Reedus and his wife Rebecca, who had come from East Tennessee. Isaac Hyde and Isaac Williams. There is a Methodist preacher also buried in this Presbyterian church cemetery. His name was William Levesque, and he lived from 1790 until 1865. The oldest stone in the cemetery bears the name of Mrs. Barbara Fisher, who was born in 1759 and died in 1831. Other settlers in the area, the graves of several still can be seen scattered over the land in various private burial sites, include William Henry and Samuel Clay, Robert Steele, Major Thomas Goodrich, and John Grigsby, son of a famous soldier who fought under George Washington. Character of people. In these earliest days, Elkmont folks pretty much made their own laws and settled their own troubles, according to all accounts. And this same self-reliance carries over to the present, according to Fred Gray, who was born and has lived in the community some 72 years. "I reckon there's not another town that has as few cases in the court," says this man, who has seen the town through big days and bad days. Mr. Gray likes to point to the town's banking institutions as examples of what makes the community tick. When the crash of 1929 came, there were 2 banks in Elkmont, the Citizens and the Farmers and Merchants. W.S. Peoples and his Citizens Bank weathered the financial storm until 1932, when he decided to close. But before he did, he paid depositors 100 cents on every dollar. The other bank was among the few in this nation that kept its doors open throughout the bust years. It still operates today under the guiding hand of David Smith. David took the reins from his father, G.R. Smith, who for long years before his death successfully directed affairs of the bank and served the town as mayor. W.B. Vaughn, an early power behind this banking institution, became a millionaire, according to popular accounting, without leaving the little town. Today, only a nondescript shack in the middle of town, where the town patriarch conducted numerous business activities, is visible evidence. But there is an inexhaustible verbal evidence of this colorful man's life and times. Mr. Gray, whom many a day worked beside Mr. Vaughn on the streets buying cotton, says the old gentleman had his hand in a lot of things, but really made his money by saving it. And the cotton that once helped W.B. Vaughn make his money still is and undoubtedly always will remain a major plank in the Elkmont economic foundation. Today, huge bonded cotton warehouses dot the community. The Elkmont Warehouse Company is a partnership between the sons of Mr. Gray and Lewis Morris, present mayor. Morris operates one of 2 gins in the town, and the Gray brothers the other. An 85,000-gallon water tower furnishes a sprinkler fire protection system for the warehouses, as well as a short system of water mains. Bad follows good. The gins and warehouses handle most of the crops from a 7-mile area. In a normal year, this is about 4,500 bales. Capacity of the Elkmont warehouses is 10,000 bales. 1953 was our best year, and 1954 our worst, says Fred Gray, Jr. You can always tell a good year. That's the year everybody trades pickup trucks. There are 2 distinct divisions to Elkmont's farm economy. On the east side, away from the river, are the small farms, the cotton raisers, with usually 40 to 80 acres. On the west side, toward the river, are the big landholders, Harry Morris, W. Van Gilbert, Frank Waldrop, and his Hidden Valley operation. Much of this land is devoted to beef production. Besides beef raising and cotton, Elkmont area, of course, raises some corn and other row crops. There also is some dairying, but not to any large degree. Elkmont has been an incorporated municipality about 2 decades. Besides Mayor Morris, there is a 6-man board of aldermen consisting of Carl Robinson, Harry Morris, Max Head, Joe Evans, George Gray, and Fred Gray, Jr. With the exception of George Gray, most of these men have served about as long as the board has been in existence. Bernice Compton is town clerk. Elkmont likes to point out 2 things to visitors. Every foot of street within the tiny 1 to 4 mile radius corporate limits is paved, and the L&N Railroad reaches its highest point between Finemont and Cincinnati, right in the middle of town. The town maintains a system of street lights and a night policeman. Main business houses are Black's Cafe, Powers Grocery Store, Garland Smith's Grocery Store, Robinson and Max Head General Merchandise. And then there is Homer Denovan's Barber Shop. Homer has been in business for 35 years, but now he only cuts hair on Saturday. The other days in the week he is busy running his radio station in Athens, 10 miles south. The town of Elkmont is a mile east of the new Alabama Highway 127, 5 miles south of the Tennessee state line, and 9 miles from Ardmore, Tennessee/Alabama. New U.S. Highway 31 is to pass between Elkmont and Ardmore. There is an abundance of electric power supplied by the city of Athens, a telephone exchange, and the post office. Joe Evans presently is postmaster. His uncle, Mr. Robert Evans, has retired to his gardening after 42 years as postmaster. About that railroad. An interesting story about the railroad is this one. Elkmont is on such a hill that an extra engine once operated there, running down the 3-mile grade to the north, or the one to the south, and double-heading trains up to the top. Once the top was reached, a Y-track was used to switch the extra engine aside, and the train continued down the opposite slope. About 1913, however, The railroad wanted to build a second track, but couldn't get together with Elkmont land owners. So the second track now takes a sharp detour around the town and through less hilly country. And with the second track, the Y track went out of use. Virgil Jameson has operated the rail agency at Elkmont for some 20 years. Most of the cotton still goes out of Elkton warehouses by rail in normal times, but now the marketing is more orderly and spread over the full year. In the big cotton days before the Depression, all this activity was confined pretty much to the fall. The days, however, when a fortune could be made in Elkmont cotton and trade are no more. About tomorrow. Elder Mr. Gray blames good roads for this and the subsequent gravitation towards fewer and bigger centers of marketing. But he sees this area and the entire Tennessee Valley as one of the greatest potential sections of growth and development in America today. Mr. Gray, a man born to an age when horsepower meant just that, and contour plowing was unheard of, can today visualize the time when irrigation, modern farming, and a balance with industrial pursuits will reach out to revitalize the Elkmonts of this section. Already there is strong evidence of the revitalization. Perhaps the best example for Elkmont is the Hidden Valley Ranch mentioned earlier. Started in 1951, this system of commercial beef production gradually is turning some 3,000 surrounding acres back into the assets they once were in pre-Depression days when cotton was king. An estimated 700 head of cattle are fattening on rich, man-made pastures, while a small breeding herd helps constantly to upgrade the products of these pastures. The ranch is a partnership involving Frank Waldrop, native of Vito, and distinguished journalist, and George W. Smith of Elkmont and Athens. This is only one of the largest, not the only example of modern enterprise in Elkmont, a small town that almost was killed by the Depression, but today is eagerly looking for the road back. Elkmont Schools. Elkmont boasts 3 school buildings and is planning a 4th this summer. There is a high school above, the grammar school below, and a brick gymnasium auditorium not shown. A $25,000 building to house vocational training units is planned this summer. Local citizens are using talent shows, auctions, and other means to raise some $5,000 to equip the building. The 2 schools with 19 teachers now serve about 550 students from a wide area. There are 5 buses. The high school was renovated in 1939. The elementary school is about 10 years old, and the gym auditorium is 7 years old. There is a lunchroom with capacity for 200 and an athletic field which is awaiting lights. C.C. Gregg is principal for both schools. Some 28 seniors will be graduated this spring from the high school. The facilities are considered about average in the Limestone County system. Oldest home. This graceful home is the oldest in Elkmont today, dating back to the time of Andrew McWilliams, one of the earliest settlers in this area. Large poplar logs still form the walls, but are now covered with milled planking. Home is the present resident of the Van Buren Gilberts, a distinguished local family. Mr. Gilbert, shown above, helped organize the Alabama Highway Patrol, served as an officer in the patrol for more than a decade, and directed all its activities as Alabama Department of Public Safety during the Sparks administration.